Congratulations to Dan Bewley. Congratulations to Bartek Schmarzlik. Whoops to the National Stadium. And well done to Brady Kurtz. Congratulations, Ben Barker. Only in Speedway. Good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern. We have with us today Chris and Matt as per normal. How are we doing, guys?
All good. Evening. Easy to find my way here tonight. I just followed the smoke that was pouring out of somebody's ears. So.
What? I don't know what do not know what you're talking about. Okay, where do we start tonight's show?
Well,
answers on a postcard.
I know where you'd like to start it.
I'm not sure that I would like to start it there.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's talk about the GPs. We've had 3 since we've been off air, 2 in Manchester and 1 in Gorsho. Somebody over here on the shout box has said Bellevue, the best track in the world, and you have to say they did put on a good show as far as the Speedway was concerned.
They certainly did. I would say first meeting on the Friday was the better one of the 2. I think I think the one on the Saturday I thought was a little bit more processional, I thought.
Do you think that's down to the being 2 matches in as many days?
Quite possibly, yes. I don't think there was any dispute that in terms of pure racing, Bellevue, is as Clive said there, it is arguably the best track in the country. I think there's
he says in the world.
Maybe I think there's possibly fans at places like Workington and Glasgow who might sort of disagree because their tracks are getting rave reviews as well for the quality of racing at their tracks. But yeah, we went into the weekend being told that Bartek Schmarzlik couldn't ride Bellevue. Well, nobody thought to tell Bartek Schmarzlik that, did they? I mean, it's almost like it's a bit of a puzzle for him, isn't it? Once he cracks it, he's away, and he was showing signs. Calvin Tyson kept saying in the commentary that he was struggling. Which, I don't know what he was talking about, to be honest.
Okay,
but he got better as the first meeting went on the Saturday. He was in a class of his own, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
I think he could have had another 7 rides. He would have won 6 or 7 rides. He would have won those as well. He was just absolutely on fire.
And then, of course, we went to Gorsho, perhaps not the same quality of entertainment, but good to see Brady Kurtz win one. He's been knocking on the door all season.
He's been very close, and I think it was good for the championship as well. You think Schmarzlik's won through the opening 5 Grand Prix, and he's only 11 points in front. Some might say that's down to the scoring system, which I think has divided a lot of opinion, but it's keeping him still within touching distance. But I think we're gonna the issue for Kurtz really is going to be the lack of experience at that level, whereas Schmarzlik's he's done it with 5 championships. There's obviously that little bit of added pressure of the fact that he might get on to equal the record of 6 this time. But
it seems like he's done that so quickly, those 5 championships.
Yeah,
it feels like only yesterday when he was going, oh, this guy's good. Oh, he's won one. And then bang, 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 bang.
I don't think anybody would dispute that he's a quality rider. I mean, he pulls off moves that he is fearless as well. He does take risks. Maybe sometimes people say he takes too many risks.
He's got the skill to pull it off, though, hasn't he? That's the thing.
Yeah, it's speed of thought, I think, as well. He probably is. It's always difficult to compare eras, but he probably is going to end up being the most successful rider of all time. I've said for a couple of years now, I think he'll roar past Major and Rick Arson's record, and I think he's more likely to get close to 10. I think because I think at the moment there's just not strong enough.
There's nobody there to challenge him, really.
Robert Lambert, I think, had a couple of iffy Grand Prix last season. Otherwise, he could have got a bit closer, but he's nowhere near it this season. Dan Bewley, I think the 2 Grand Prix at Bellevue summed him up. Superb in the first meeting, the second meeting was nowhere. Freddie Lindgren as well. I think Freddie seemed a bit down when he was interviewed after that second JP, and I think he's sort of getting vibes really there that he's probably going to be the modern era version of Lee Adams, quality rider, but just in the right place, but at the wrong time.
Yeah. We've got a few results coming in. Elliot Hunter's just given us the Plymouth versus Birmingham so far in the trophy. It's 32-27 to Plymouth after 10 heats, which puts the Bulls ahead by 3 on aggregate. Good mate, he's watching it on the stream, so there you go.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on that one. So,
Bellevue, it appears to have the staff and time to put into the track. Many don't. Well, I mean, they do have the time, and they have a good trackman there as well. It's also the layout of the track and the material that they use, and they just do it properly, don't they? As far as that part of it.
I think I mean, obviously the promotion of Chris Morton and Dave Gordon, obviously in the end, obviously it went wrong in terms of their finances, but I don't think anybody would dispute that they've provided Bellevue a fabulous
it's a great racetrack.
Um,
there was some moans and stuff about behind the scenes at the track.
People struggling to get in. Long queues for food. Someone, I don't know whether this is true, whether somebody's mischief making. Somebody said that Mark Lemon was helping pull points. They were that busy at one point. That was always the little concern I did have with Bellevue, is whether it's got the capabilities of staging a big meeting like that. There were a lot of these issues were sort of being talked about when they had the Speedway Nations there at the end of last season.
Right. So they need to get that right for the next time, don't they?
Yeah, they've got to get that right. I mean, just relying on the racing is fantastic, but I always think a Grand Prix for me, this is why I was such an advocate of having it at Cardiff. Although the racing at Cardiff wasn't always great, although we had some great moments there, Cardiff was more like an event. The whole everything around it. Although I think really with Cardiff the last sort of couple of years, it felt like it was sort of been sort of run down a little bit. There wasn't as much of an effort put into the entertainment and things like that. But certainly the early Cardiff Grand Prix in particular, I've got fantastic memories of those. So yeah,
excellent. Right, well, where do we want to go to now, gentlemen?
What's life like with the little red flag?
You're alluding to the fact that I've resigned my post at Birmingham Speedway, waving the red flag. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yes, I think that's it. Yeah.
You waved the red flag on your career at Birmingham Speedway.
19 years.
Yeah.
This would have been this was my 19th year. I've done that. Seen lots of good racing, lots of bad racing. Enjoyed my time there. I've got to admit, I didn't enjoy the last match against Sheffield.
It was dire, wasn't it?
It was
not just the performance. It's probably the worst performance I've ever seen from the Birmingham team. And there's been plenty of contenders for that category, haven't they? But it was just the quality of the racing as well. It was just boring, wasn't it? Never ever Sheffield right from the word go. Never ever looked like they were going to lose that meet. They were always favourites anyway. But
yeah, of course they were. But it would have been nice to have. It didn't look like they were trying or not a lot. And I'm sure that's probably not true, because I don't think anybody goes out on track not to try. But
at the end of the day, if a rider doesn't try, they generally don't get paid, do they? Because they don't score points.
So. But that's what it looks like, and that's never a good look. Toby, I thought, tried quite hard.
Yeah, he's still got this frustrating thing, whereas he can't do it in the first heat, can he?
No. And he's going to be back in the first heat.
Yeah.
Because he's now our number one again.
Yes.
Because as you told me just before we came on air, because I missed this travelling down here, we now have Ben Barker in place of MJJ
for a second spell at Birmingham. So.
I mean, Ben Barker is one of my favourite all-time riders at Birmingham. We had some great meetings with him. But
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, and he will make a decent reserve. Of course, it puts our other reserve now in the main body of the team.
Yeah.
I do not. So I'm measuring my words carefully here. So Mr. Tully has come out and said, look, there's no other riders available, so basically suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pretend to be your recording when Matt told you?
You can.
What the?
Yeah, that was
It wasn't quite like that.
No.
fairly accurate.
Shouldn't have had the bleep
minus the
anyway.
whistles.
Yeah.
I think it would be truer to say that there isn't the riders out there that he's prepared to pay the money for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a truer statement. And why don't I just say it? Right from the beginning of this season, when we had that situation with Michael Jepson Jensen, where questions were being asked because of reports in Poland that he wasn't stopping past May, and I asked on the Birmingham forum, and another person asked on the Birmingham forum, just asked a straight question: is Michael Jepson Jensen going to be stopping after May?
Yep.
And the answer that we got was looking the other way.
Well, Birmingham have done this before, haven't they? It happened with Adam Ellis 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just left a bad taste in my mouth. It is. Along with everything else, and I just feel like basically, I think there is a reason that the club is running this year, and it ain't just because it's another season for Birmingham. I can't say what I think because I don't know for sure, and I don't like doing that. Mm-hmm. But so that all of these have played a part in me not wanting to be the red flag. I'm still going to go down there and support the Brummies and I'll pay my money on the door and all of that. Mm-hmm. But it's just left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. And I mean, the other reason that I've left and it is for health reasons. It is I'm there on the track, standing up for 2-3 hours, whatever it is. And by the end of the match, my legs are hurting. And then when I pick up all the tyres and with everybody's help, it's not just me. Don't want you to think that. Yeah. It's taken me 3 days to recover from it. So, was that mine by any chance?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was anyway.
That's probably Nigel Tully telling me I can't come back.
Ever.
Rich Thomas says, can you really blame him for not wanting to spend any more money when it's shutting down? As for not confirming MJJ leaving that Speedway through and through. Well, if it is Speedway through and through, I don't like it. If he's not going to spend the money, then he should have shut down last year, is my feeling. You either do it or you don't do it.
You're not the first person who's said that, to be honest. That really questioning why have another year. So, I mean, it's I think the last 3 or 4 years really of when I'm listening to your feeling tonight. I think a lot of Birmingham fans have it's dragged everybody down the last 3 years because it's been this relentless cycle of lose a meeting, make a change, doesn't make any difference, lose another meeting, occasionally win one. Yeah. And I saw your little jig on the centre screen after the Bellevue win. I suppose it's one of those really where occasionally something good happens. You think, oh well, that's quite nice, and then it's back to square one the following week, and the Bellevue meeting. I think everybody came away from that meeting with Bellevue, apart from the Bellevue fans, on a real high, didn't they? With the win, and
I definitely did do a jig.
Yeah, not only that's why your legs person. Not just the win, but I think the fact that there seems a lot of spirit in the team to dig in and get that result, but then to get the performance a couple of weeks later against Sheffield. I mean, that was just a real.
Yeah,
It was a real kick in
and
the
there were
teeth,
other
wasn't it, I
things that happened that night that I can't talk about because it wouldn't be fair.
think?
It wouldn't be right. I was in a situation of privilege, and so therefore I don't feel able to talk about it. But there were other things that happened that night that took a part in me making that decision.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to Heat 10, I'd already made my mind up. So, yeah. And I feel sorry for the guys that are there, because this is another thing that played a part in the decision as well. So I'm there, I stay and a couple of other guys stayed until, and we're there, and I don't get home until 12:30. Picking up tyres, picking up the sheets, doing everything to pack
Picking up the pieces.
to pack it away, essentially. And then, not just me, there are a lot of other guys that do the same and more, a lot more than what I do. And there are a lot of people that are on that track, waving flags and doing bits and pieces. And if every single one of them just picked up 5 tyres or 10 tyres or something like that, and then waved by, we'd get that. It'd probably take an hour off the time of doing it, or maybe more, and maybe like a few did a little bit more, and it just wears you down after a bit.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like a feeling of, well,
whereas
nobody else is bothering, why should I? So.
Yeah, whereas I feel very strongly that if I can't do that, then I shouldn't be waving the red flag. So that played a part in that decision as well. And also, do you know what? I'm probably going to look forward to being a supporter for the last bit of the season.
Yeah.
And watching Speedway and moaning about it as a normal supporter instead of somebody waving the red flag. So there you go. Jeff Daniel says there are lots of rumours Oxford are dropping to Championship. Leicester up for sale again, along with Sheffield leaves the Premiership looking grim for next season.
There's all sorts of rumours going around. You don't know what to believe and what not to believe, do you? But it just, again, we're in this whole position that we've been before. Can't see where the top league's going to go next season.
No.
We've had suggestions in the past about the one big league. I know that the promoters seem very reluctant to go down that route, but it's almost like they're sort of running out of options now.
Running out of teams is what they're running out of. We've got some stuff on YouTube. You remember to do YouTube?
Yes, we did. Yeah,
so Darren Reynolds says, "Evening chaps, a question for you. Why do all the GP riders have the same style of riding the bike? They all resemble Olympic speed skaters. When did this creep into the sport?" I don't think they've all got the same style. I don't think Dan Bewley's style is anywhere the same as Brady Kurtz, for instance.
It's when the bikes have really turned into rocket ships, haven't they? So, which I think is in the debate for another day. Really, Speedway bikes too fast or
too fast. Really?
They've got too fast too quickly.
Well, you look at other motorsports. Let's go to the pinnacle of motorsport. Let's talk about F1. Mm-hmm. They got too fast. So then they started messing about to slow them down. They did things like grooves in the tyres.
Yeah.
They've changed this year. They're too big now. They've made them really big and heavy. They're changing the rules again next year. So there seems to be a reluctance to do that sort of tinkering, if you like. But of course, the big difference between F1 and Speedway, and probably the main reason why they don't do that. I mean, you think of all of the complaints they had when they did the silencers, which was needed.
Well, it was certainly needed in Birmingham.
It was needed in a few places. Mildenhall was another one, and a few places in Germany and Sweden were having the same problems. So, people tended to say that it's because of Birmingham that way. Ain't. Mm-hmm. Good English there, Michael.
Ain't it?
But the big difference between Speedway and F1 is money. Mm-hmm. They spend each team spends like 50-60 million a year.
Yeah,
and they earn more than that. They have to be price capped so that they don't spend more. We ain't got that. And also, if you change the bikes, who foots the bill? in terms of F1, it's the teams that foot the bill. In Speedway, it's your riders that foot the bill. So I think that's why there's a reluctance to change these things too much.
I think that's probably one of the issues with the GP. I mean, obviously, if anybody watched the goals off GP, there were certainly a lot of empty seats, a lot more than you would usually expect to see at a Polish meeting.
Yeah,
It almost feels like with a lot of the rule change. I was thinking it's interesting you mentioned F1 there. It feels with a lot of these rule changes, I think F1 went through a phase, didn't it, when he started making loads of changes to the rules to try and negate the dominance of Schumacher and Ferrari. It seems to be going down the same route now. We're trying to negate the dominance of Smarslick. Changes to qualifying and things like that, and the sprint races.
And he's just going, okay,
yeah,
I'll win this way then. But I don't know. So there are things that they could do which would not put the price on the riders and would make it cheaper for the riders as well. There are, like for instance, engines not allowed to touch them, not allowed to tune them or do anything with it. You got bog standard engines, and that's what you got. What you get.
Chris Van Straten talked about that a few years ago about having standardised equipment in the league, which I think would be a.
That's the problem, though.
Yeah.
You can't do it in the league. It has to be across the whole of Speedway. That's the problem, and of course, you can't see Poland agreeing to it.
How would they monitor? How would they not monetize it? How would they? I can't think of the word.
Because
if all the machines were exactly the same, how would it be regulated?
Well, they'd be sealed.
Somebody.
Yep.
They'd be sealed. And if the seal's broke, you're out.
Right. Okay. Because to me, that seems like a great idea.
So you can't walk around the pits with a bag of sugar and just stick it into the engines when the riders at the back turn.
Yeah.
Brian Rees said Ipswich will be the team to beat when all their riders are fully fit. I think they're the team to beat now, to be honest.
They've had a bit of a sticky spell, haven't they? Because they've had a few riders injured. I mean, obviously they certainly bounced back to form last night against Leicester. I think that was inevitable, really. Leicester obviously went there and won earlier in the season. That just sort of shows what an up and down season it's been, doesn't it? Because Leicester got to Ipswich and win, and then a few nights later they lose at home to Birmingham. So
Craig Smee makes the point, but Speedway had the money with the Sky Sports money. Should have put an infrastructure in place where clubs had to invest in the future of the sport, starting with purchasing stadiums or land, etc.
Number of times I've said that, Craig. I've run out of fingers to count the number of times.
Why didn't it happen? And and I'm going to answer my own question now. The reason it didn't happen is because you've got lots of different fiefdoms. This is my
fiefdom.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. This club is my little fiefdom. This club is my little village. This club, and it's everybody's trying to do so. I can afford to get Barsock Smarslick now, or whatever, and that's what happens.
That's where the money went. That's where the money went. It went to the riders.
Yeah,
It's no coincidence that Sky started showing the league, and all of a sudden Thomas Gollum's name appeared on the British League contract. None of it about Thomas Gollum, because you couldn't blame him for that. But
no.
Wasn't it at one stage the second biggest sport on Sky? I'm sure I read that somewhere.
It was
audience-wise.
About mid-2000s it was. Yeah. I mean, when we had the first lockdown, there was there's a YouTube channel, I think it's called Sunshine Speedway, and they put loads of meetings from that 99-2000 period. And some of the meetings, some of the meetings you watch and you can't hear the box because you can't hear it over the sound of the crowd.
And that's not that long ago.
It's only 25 years ago, so... and you just think, well, everyone at the time was thinking this could really go somewhere. If there's a proper investment and a proper plan, and then within a few years, all falls down in the big things.
That always has been the downfall of Speedway: the inability to be a unit in the same way as you got the Football League is a unit. Yeah. Or FIFA or UEFA, or as you go further, there is no unit.
Don't want to look past the perimeters of their own car parks.
Even now, when we've got a CEO sort of in the Premiership.
Yeah.
It's not over the whole of British Speedway.
He's been given some power, but not enough, I don't think.
And he hasn't. He can't say what's going on in the Championship and what's going on in the National League. He hasn't got power over them. They're their own fiefdom again, and it's
Plymouth 38, Birmingham 33 in the National League Development Trophy. By the way,
does that still mean that
it's 79-81 on aggregate in favour
That's
of
close.
Birmingham? So
it's close?
Joe Thompson's riding for Plymouth at number 1. Obviously, ride replacement at 2. Kai Ward. Joe Thompson's won all 3 of his races there, probably not a surprise. Ben Trigger, who I thought looked quite fast last night, although he only managed to win one. I think he won 1 heat. He's unbeaten as well so far, but I mean, those two. I was impressed with those two, but I think the score line looked a little bit artificially close really last night because Birmingham they got 2 5-1s in the last 3 heats, Plymouth, and I think that made it look a lot closer than it was really.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there.
It was a decent meeting, to be fair. To be fair, the 3 national development meetings that I've been to, thoroughly enjoyed them. Been some very good racing. I think it's just unfortunately people's perception of National League is that it's just wobblers riding round and fall off every couple of laps. But
Certainly
it's not
that.
No, it isn't that. It might have been some time. I think there's an element of it, but not with some of the top riders.
Some good races.
Some good riders in that league.
Craig Smith says, why are Leicester up for sale? Didn't they only get brought out at the start of this season? Seems strange that someone would put it up for sale in less than 12 months. Is that confirmed?
We
that they're
don't.
up for sale?
Well, nobody's officially said anything. I have heard rumours that that it is that it has been put up for sale. They're not the only ones I've heard rumours about as well. Rumours we usually wait till October, don't we, before we start getting all the rumours flying around.
We started hearing them the first meeting, didn't we? So
we start most of them, to be fair.
Yeah. Right, what shall we start? What rumour shall we start here? I would like to know.
Michael Harris is going to be the next Birmingham promoter.
Yeah,
that's the rumour I want to start.
That's never going to happen. Ben Barker, I can't afford him. Anyway, I'm sorry, Ben. I love you very much. I mean, yeah, he's one of my favourite Birmingham riders. I'd love to know what everybody else's opinion is on we can't get a rider better than Ben Barker to ride for us.
Okay.
There isn't any other riders out there.
Well, I saw the interview that Nigel Tully did after I remember which meeting it was, the Sheffield meeting, and I think he'd hinted at the new Birmingham rider was a rider that had ridden for Birmingham before.
Yeah, he did. Well, didn't hint, he said it.
Yeah. So I think everybody sort of think it's going to be Ben Barker.
A lot of people thought that. And I'll be honest, I thought, no, it won't be Ben Barker.
You were thinking it was going to be Smarsley, didn't you?
No, I was hoping it was going to be Smarsley. But no.
Clive has asked, how much do the clubs get from TNT Sport?
A lot less than they got from Sky, I know that.
No, a lot less that they got from Eurosport, and probably, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. I'm not going to make any guesses because I don't know, but I don't imagine it's mega money. Craig Smith says, when Phil Morris took over, there was a 3-year plan talked about. We're now in year 3. And that's disappeared, thank you very much. And crowds this season, I feel, have been worse. Been the worst that I've seen it. I was at Bellevue last night and it was a great close meeting with good racing. The crowd was probably on par with the Colts meeting, and they only open the grandstand for the Colts meeting, and it's usually not even a third full. Has the product improved? I think we have better riders in the league than, say, 4 years ago. So why is the crowd not flocking to the stadiums? Doesn't look great on TV either.
Promotion.
That's one of my biggest issues, the fact that you watch meetings on TV now and you see massive, great big gaps in the crowd, and it doesn't look good.
I don't like this either. It's crowds are going down for lots and lots of reasons. This is one of them. Simon Corbett, Kurtz, Pickering, Cook missing meetings in UK, then riding Poland day and days later. That's one of the reasons.
Doesn't help, does it?
People are getting very disillusioned with this sport, and I think for good reason.
Yeah.
Dave Albrighton says, see the Greyhounds are moving to Wolverhampton horse racing track. Could Monmore be available to go back? You probably know more about that than me.
I have heard rumours, but I not really taking any much notice of that. I mean, aside from anything else, there's nothing to go back to Monmouth now because the track's gone. So
most of it's on Birmingham's track.
Yeah, some of it's on Paul's track as well. I think Paul had quite a bit of the Shale as well. So
Jeff Daniels says it's certainly not in MJJ's class, but 100% trier.
I don't think anybody's disputing that Ben Barker's a trier.
Ben Barker is great. He'll score points at reserve, but it means that Jonas Jepson will now move out of reserve and into the main body of the team. He was doing great in the reserve and getting some confidence, and now he's back in the main body of the team, probably back at number 2, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's, the chances are high of an even bigger... I hate saying this, because what I don't want to do is prevent people from going to watch the Speedway, but I've got to be honest, we're probably going to see a worse match than we did against Sheffield.
Who's it? Kings Lynn next, isn't it?
Kings Lynn, yeah.
Kings Lynn have had a...
They've been picking up. Yeah.
They're a solid team, Kings Lynn, to be fair. I mean, they ran Bellevue really close, didn't they? Bellevue needed their big hitters to get the points for them.
Yes, they did. So I'm aware that I'm whining and moaning, but I've had 3 years of this. I apologise for it. I'm normally the person that people turn around and say, oh, he's got rose-coloured glasses on, or red and yellow-coloured glasses on. But I've just been worn down.
I doubt if there's a Speedway fan ever that hasn't moaned. Come on, you are well known for it.
Partially why we're there, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, does any sports fan not moan?
Exactly, of course it is. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
We've read everything that's on YouTube there. I do believe.
No, we didn't read that last. We haven't read that last one on the bottom.
Emil Seifert off riding Heat 10 was worth the admission price on its own. A class rider. He is a class act, Emil. I don't think he's been quite on it this season, but it looks like he's maybe starting to get back to his best really. It's. I mean, he's as I say, and obviously Jason Doyle as well. He's had another tough year with injuries and things like that. Rode better, I thought, in Gorzoff on Saturday. Managed to get to the semi-final, but
as we're talking about moaning, can I give you my stupid question of the week?
Absolutely.
Has there ever been a time in Speedway where there were talks of a rival Speedway organisation starting up?
Yeah, there's one now.
Rival Speedway.
Yeah, there's one now.
Yeah, but it hasn't got the same. It's got the same rules though.
I don't know what rules it's got.
In the UK.
Yeah, what's it called? Nora. So our friend Barry.
Barry was there last night.
Oh yeah. The Isle of Wight. Yeah.
Although I think it's a bit of a struggle for them now. I think when they've hardly had any. I don't think they've had a meeting yet, have they? This season down at the Isle of Wight. So
I haven't heard of one.
It's the same rules as well. It's all completely.
I presume so. Yes.
Well, they do all sorts of different other things, don't they? So I mean, there was. I think it's pretty clear there's no way back for them in terms of going back to race under the British Speedway banner, because I think the relationship's completely broken down. So,
although I have seen a couple of weeks ago the mention Nora in the British Speedway BSPL website, whatever it's called, and it was in a positive way. So maybe there's some leeway there. I don't know.
Interesting.
Craig Smith says, I've seen some comments saying the league has gone stale, as we know the top 4 is pretty much secure now, and meetings in the second half of the season haven't really got much significance. So crowds are low because people can't be bothered watching a non-contest and waiting for the 4 meetings that decide the winner of the league in September in the playoffs.
Okay, that's been the case for 20 years, though. 4 meetings at the end of the season that decide who wins the league. So
yeah, but you don't always know.
No, but last season, the start of last season, I think we all knew who the top 4 was going to be, and I think you think that this season. I know we've been. I
think that's his point.
I know we've been singing Kings Lynn's praises a little bit, but I don't think they're going to get in the top 4.
I think we knew the top 4 before the season started, didn't we?
Yeah.
Really?
Pretty much the same in football.
Plymouth 43, Birmingham 34 after 13 heats. That's too close for my liking.
Which means it's 84-82, so Plymouth are now in front in aggregate. So
Oh dear.
So that's been a bright spot for me going down there. I was really impressed with what they've done. It's only very, very basic, but they've built it up slowly, and it's a very small track. It's probably not the best racetrack, but they've got a good loyal following down there. It's never going to be a pool or anybody like that. It's never going to be one of these clubs that's going to be dominant, but they've done well. They have done very well, and people talk about not spending money. Well, they've spent money because they've had Jason. I mean, he's not the Jason Crumb of old, but he had a season there, didn't he? Bjarne Pedersen rode there. I've heard other rumours last night about another top rider that possibly might be going there. There is a link between that rider and the Plymouth promoter as well, so maybe that's sort of adding a little bit of fuel to the fire.
Okay. You're not going to say?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you at about 9:01.
Okay. That works for me. As for the rest of you, hard luck.
Some people might have already heard it themselves anyway. So
Yeah, I'm sure some bright spark will pop it up there. And then we don't get the blame. That's the way that works.
Yep, absolutely.
And have a think about your rider of the week as well.
Gosh, my rider of the week, that's going to be difficult.
Mine's easy. Brady Kurtz. Got to be. Won his first Grand Prix.
Yeah, actually, now you've said it, it is easy. And, Brady Kurtz for me. Chris Thorogood says, crowds are very healthy at Foxhall this year. A bumper crowd on Bank Holiday and also a very good crowd versus Sheffield a week or so ago was at Kings Lynn last Monday, and again, a very decent crowd. Not all doom and gloom. I totally disagree. Just because one track, you need all the tracks to be doing healthy. One track does not cut it.
Craigs, did any of you attend the GP?
Particularly when you've only got seven teams in the league.
None of us went to the two Group Bs in Manchester.
It was a big success. Supporters. Was it a big success?
It depends on how you define success.
Okay.
Somebody wasn't listening at the start, were they?
Yeah, right, absolutely.
No, wasn't.
It wasn't. No.
No.
So as far as the GP itself as an event and the racing and everything, it was a good success. But there were lots of problems sort of in the housekeeping department to people getting in on time. I believe there were a lot of people outside when it started. This is only what I've heard. I wasn't
because it was a sellout, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, there was a few. I think the Saturday meeting was the better attended. I think the Friday one, obviously, with people coming back from work, it would have been a bit more difficult on that one. But the general consensus, though, really, and I would agree as well, was that the Friday meeting was the better of the two for the quality of the racing. I don't agree with Kelvin Tapp saying it was the best Grand Prix ever. I think I've seen better Grand Prix.
Interesting.
So I've only the GPs in Bydgoszcz for a start. I just wish that was back on the GP calendar because I love that place.
Bydgoszcz.
One track I'd love to.
Where's that?
Poland. One track I would love to go and watch a meeting. Because it's just every single time you watch the meeting there, brilliant racing.
I think we're coming very quickly to the time in this country where we're going to be asking ourselves this question: which Polish team are we going to support?
A European league?
They thought about it before, but how can you do European league? Well, how can it work when most of the riders ride for over here riding all the other teams? That's where it's all gone wrong.
Yeah,
that's where the speedway in this country has all gone wrong. Is the riders riding for more than one team. First of all, it was when I first came back to speedway in 2007. I was like, they're riding Poland as well. Mm-hmm. They're riding. Well, that's weird.
Well, they opened the gates in Poland in the early 90s, I think so.
So that was just very weird for me, coming to somebody that, my rider was my rider, sort of thing.
And then you found out there are for more than one club in this league.
And then they started doing that, yeah. And then that got more and more and more to the point when every rider pretty much rides in both leagues.
Some were riding in three, weren't they, at one point? They're not doing so much now. So.
Incidentally, just going back to that question that I asked and that nobody wanted to answer, which was, can we really not think of any other riders that are available that would do a better job than Ben Barker, who, again, Ben, if you're listening, because I know you sometimes do, nothing against you at all. Happy to have you in the team, but not as a replacement for Michael Jepson Jensen. There are, how many other riders have got higher averages than Ben in the championship that would possibly be available to ride? As just as one idea, I don't honestly believe that there are not that other riders available. But Jeff Daniel says there was only problems on Friday. Not enough security, which Bellevue, put right on the Saturday, and Tomo made a public apology. Thomas Gollop around Bidgosh was the best to watch, says Michael Jukes. He was riding a different track to the rest of the boys. He was
fantastic. It probably helped that he was on that track every day practicing as well. So Craig Smith says the way it's going, the three big teams left, Poole, Bellevue and Ipswich, will probably put in applications to join the Polish Extra League. So Jeff Daniel says Kurt's rider of the week. I think most people are going to say Brady Kurtz.
I think we got 5 votes for that. So
yeah.
Looks like it.
So with the time coming up to 1:45, I think we need to jump on the prediction league. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll get the tables up first.
We had a few meetings this week, so some big points were available.
Okay, put in studio mode. See that?
Rich Thomas was top scorer this week with 14. I think Chris Thurgood 13. So Nick Skippy Matthews. Nick, I hope you had a safe trip back to Plymouth yesterday. Skippy, I saw him last night at Perry Bar. So I was working for Ben Trigger. So
cool stuff. Yep. I'm still underneath.
Yeah. I'm still on top of you. Ooh, missus.
I'm below the pair of you. So.
Yeah. Tut.
So.
It's okay. Let's take that off. We don't want that.
That's an old table, I think.
Is it? Oh, right. Okay, I'll get the.
Yeah, we're on week 12 now, so.
Right. Okay, I'll get it up in a second.
While
he plays with his toys there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do like playing with it.
What's the score at Plymouth while we're at it?
I think it's still the same. I haven't had any fresh updates coming through yet on my screen, so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the tables up in a bit. What's going wrong there?
So when's the next GP?
5th of July, I think the next one is, which is Melilla in Sweden. Another track that's definitely worth watching speed out. I think that's another track that's got some good racing. While we're talking about it, has anybody seen the Ty Woofington YouTube story that he's done?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I was aware of it, but I haven't seen it.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I'm just wondering if anybody else on there has seen it, because he's talked about his recovery from the accident, and I think he's he was interviewed before the first GP at Bellevue, and I think he's sort of dropping a few hints that it might be we won't see him back on a bike again. I think he's suggested that he maybe wants to get back on a bike and see how he goes, but. To be honest, has he really got anything left to prove now? 3 World Championships, with the best will in the world, even before the crash, it was going to be a tall order for him to come back and win another one. Does he really want to come back and be a rider that battles to get to a 7-point average or something when this is a guy that's won 3 World Championships, don't forget. So.
Doesn't sound like the Ty Woffenden that I know, but...
We're struggling to find it.
I can't find it.
Oh dear. Can't get stuff, I
did post it on the Facebook page, so this is, we are normally very, very unprofessional. So,
I have got it somewhere, and
we might just have to read it out.
We'll.
Is that it?
That's it there. So
we'll
use that one.
So the opposite of Rich Thomas's good week is he's now only 2 points off the lead on 91. Andrew Garner's still leading on 93. Chris Thurgood's lurking there, 88. Brian Buck, I know that name, 87, alongside Elliott, also on 87 as well. I'm down in 7th, so I'm sort of losing a little bit of maybe looking down at the engine, worrying that it's going to stall. and the defending champion down in 10th at the moment.
Yeah,
so
I-
Simon,
And I'm still on top of you.
I put the. Ooh, don't ever say that again. Don't ever say that again. I'm putting sugar in your motor. Right, so shall we just get on with this?
Okay.
Running out
yep. So
of
we'll
time.
start off on Wednesday night. The NDL. Now I think this meeting might have been missed off the posts that I put on Saturday for this week's fixture. So if you've missed that one, please feel free to post them. Kings Lynn against Leicester. That's in the National Development Trophy.
I'm going to go. So I'm going to start this one. So I'll go for Kings Lynn by 10. It's up to you.
I'll
Matt.
go Kings Lynn by 6.
Kings Lynn by 4.
Okay. On Thursday, Oxford against Birmingham.
It's up to you, Matt. You see what I did there?
Yeah. I've got to say, Oxford by 12. That's maybe been optimistic for Birmingham.
Oxford by 16.
Oxford by 26.
Okay. Next one is the semi-final of the Knockout Cup, the second leg, Sheffield against Leicester.
That's up to you, Chris.
Leicester by 4.
Big call.
Yeah.
Only because I couldn't remember what the first team was.
Sheffield by 10.
Sheffield by 14, I'll say on that one. Okay, next up on Friday, we've got a night of championship action. We'll start off at Edinburgh. They take on Redcar.
Okay, Edinburgh versus Redcar. Edinburgh by 12.
Redcar by 6.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Now, where are you going to go?
Toss a
I'm
coin.
trying to think who knows more about Speedway.
Well, that's obviously
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah. I'll go. Did you say red car? Yeah, red car by 12.
So,
Okay. Meanwhile, it's Glasgow against Scunthorpe also on Friday as well.
up to you, Matt.
Glasgow by 16.
Glasgow by 10.
Scunthorpe have had a few decent runs recently, haven't they? Glasgow by 6.
Okay. Moving on to Saturday in the National Development League, Middlesbrough against Leicester.
That's up to you, Chris.
Leicester by 8.
Middlesbrough by 4.
Leicester by 4. I'll go for that one. Berwick against Workington in the Championship. That's next up.
Me again, isn't it? Berwick by 12.
Berwick by 12. I'll go for that as well.
I'll go Berwick by 10.
Okay. Then we've got a double header in the NDL on Sunday. First of all, Leicester against Oxford.
That's up to you, Matt.
Draw.
Wow. Taking my thunder.
Or was that what you were going to say?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, can you just repeat that one again?
Leicester versus Oxford.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, let's pretend I'm really thinking about it.
No, don't think about it.
Oxford by 4.
You really went for a draw.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Leicester by 10.
Okay. Okay, so the return match, Oxford against Leicester. That's at 6:30 on Sunday evening.
That's up to you, Chris.
Leicester by 10.
Oxford by 10.
Oxford by 6.
God, I'm having a bad week, you know.
Okay. And then finally, two Premiership matches on Monday. First of all, Bellevue against Ipswich.
That's going to be interesting. They're going to be full strength, aren't they, Ipper?
Yep. And they've been to Bellevue already this season and won, so...
Draw.
Mm-hmm.
Have to do one.
Ipswich by 4, I'll go for.
Ipswich by 4.
Okay. And finally, Birmingham against Kings Lynn.
It's up to you, Matt.
I'll go Kings Lynn by 12.
Kings Lynn by 22.
Kings Lynn by 16.
You'd like to say something else, wouldn't you? But it just...
What I'd like to say is I hope I'm wrong.
yeah.
You know, that's I hope Ben Barr could...
But you fear you may not be.
Oh, I wouldn't have said it if I didn't think that was good, would I? But I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to be there watching the match for the first time ever as a supporter at Perry Bar.
When was the last time you went to Birmingham and watched it as a fan? Would it have been...
As home?
It would have been in the 80s, wouldn't it, surely?
Yeah, as
Wales.
home. I mean, I've obviously watched them away from home a fair few times.
No,
but
but at home, I mean, so...
no, it would have been...
It's got to be...
I've never watched a home meeting from the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
At Perry Bar, at this Perry Bar.
So it would have been Wheels. When you...
It would have been Wheels, yeah.
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 Okay.
Well, it would have been the old Perry Bar beforehand, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
So,
But it would have been Wheels.
1940s.
yeah, just go up the comments there. Somebody did say something about the Ty Woofington
Yeah, I did see that somewhere.
interview that he... Well, say interview, obviously he talks about... Craig Speed, that YouTube video was a hard watch, especially his wife Faye's perspective of it. Yeah, it was a tough one. I think, at the end of the day, it's going to be Ty's decision and Ty's decision alone, isn't it? But I would, he's got a close knit family around him, obviously with his wife Faye and of course his mum as well. So I think they'll have a say in whatever he decides. But as I say, has he really got anything left to prove now? And I think he's grateful really to still be alive, because that could have been ended so differently.
Mm-hmm.
That crash.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Duke says the guy at Edinburgh would have been a good signing, Palavara.
Yeah, everyone's raving about him, but I haven't seen any talk about him going into the top league yet. So
No.
I wasn't overly impressed with him at when I saw him at Plymouth, but obviously it's got a small track, isn't it? So
I like a Pavlova.
so do I actually. So
Apropos of nothing. Okay. Right, well, what's the time? We've got 5 minutes to kill.
yeah.
I can safely say that Brady Kurtz is this week's rider of the week. Sorry.
It'll be interesting to see, will he turn up to be riding for Bellevue this week?
Yep.
It's just not. It's not right.
I think a lot of it's depending on I think, the fact that he's had a few knocks and, he's mathematically he's in with the shout of winning a world championship as well. So I suppose
He's certainly within the shout of getting top three.
11 points I think off Smolzik at the moment. So I think Smolzik's got enough just to keep him out of reach at the moment. But that win in Gorzov will give him such a huge psychological advantage to beat Barta Smart and to beat Barta Smartic. I know he doesn't ride for them anywhere, but on his home track, obviously Gorzov is his home city. It's where he was born, so and he grew up racing there, so knows that track like the back of his hand. To beat him at the start like he did, that will give him such a huge lift. 48-41 is the final score. So Birmingham
48-40, Sheila.
Yeah.
48-40, yeah. So it's 48-41 last night. So Birmingham, I think, have gone through by a point.
Well,
Won it by a point, I think.
We'll find out. Somebody will tell us.
It is, yeah.
That would have been exciting last few races. Elliot, has Birmingham gone through? He'll be watching the match.
Yeah.
I was thinking, some of the Bulls riders, the gating was phenomenal. I think they should be getting them down to Berry Bar next Monday to give them some gating lessons.
Yeah.
Can we end on as you'll never raise the red flag again? What is the year that you will remember at Birmingham?
Well, it's 2 years really. 2007, the first year, first time ever been on a red flag and go, what the? As they come speeding round the first corner, because you get a much more
you do
better perception of the speed that they're travelling.
Was that Jason Lyons?
That would have been Jason Lyons.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it would, because the first match was an individual meeting.
Alan Hunt, Memorial,
So it might not have been.
Plymouth will win aggregate post 89-88.
And I can't remember the year it was, but the year that we were top of the league in the Premiership, the Elite League as it was then.
Yeah.
That was a great season, some great racing.
Yeah.
It was Schmolly and all the guys, and Ben Barker.
Yeah.
And those were my two probably favourite. And then there was things like winning the 14, but I wasn't on the red flag for that. So what was that, 89-88 to Plymouth? Wow.
Close meeting. Birmingham had their top two riders on the track. They would have won from Elliott. So.
Or if we'd had a guest for the one that wasn't, I don't get into all that.
It's all ifs and buts, isn't it?
No, hard luck guys that they rode their heart out. Shame for those last 2-5-1s in the.
Those 2-5-1s. Those 2-5. That's what swung the meeting, wasn't it? Really, they were comfortable last night in that meeting, and just maybe I think took the foot off the gas at the end, and it's cost them.
Oh well, such is life, such is Speedway.
Yep.
I think we'll call it a show, possibly a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
At that point. Enjoy your Speedway this week. Anybody at Birmingham you want to come up and talk to me? I'm probably going to be in the bar.
They're interviewing people, aren't they? I think for your job. So.
Got a monkey.
Thanks for that. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the